Hey there. Today we want to get two things accomplished, which is understanding why it is important to set milestones, and secondly, to understand how it can be done, how what might be a good format to write it down, and giving you a possible example from our day to day and how we are doing it. And super happy to hear your thoughts and see, what we might improve as well. And we will start with the why. And if you want to know more about the why is so important and why we also love to start with it, I can really recommend you the book Start with Why by Simon Sinek. I'll try to link it somewhere. But now let's dive in. So the why of setting milestones also very early on, or especially very early on, we deem extremely important because working on a startup day and night is a little bit like crossing the ocean with a raft. No, it's not because a rising tide lifts all the boats, but because it might look like an impossible challenge if you look at it, if you look at the start and at the end result of where you're trying to get. However, breaking it down in smaller pieces makes each piece seem actually achievable. And achieving each milestone in turn increases the likelihood of achieving the end goal. So, on the one hand, it keeps our morale high since there is no external validation, especially in early stage startup and probably for a long time to come. And on the other hand, it further not only contributes to also our morale, but also our success because we see that we are on the right way by KPIs. We tried to set as objectively as possible before we set ourselves out in the ocean. So, in the end, you want to make sure you know when you open that little bottle of mood and how many bottles of mood you need at hand at any time. So let me show you the milestones we set for our early stage startup and how we have done it. The milestones we set ourselves for the months to come. I on purpose moved the status and some other properties away so that we get to keep some privacy as well. But essentially, we have divided them up into business and tech categories and have listed them all. And similar as with the decision making, agreed upon when do we actually celebrate, how do we celebrate, and how much do we how much do we spend on celebrating, so that we don't have any conflicts in that regard. The very first one I think that I can talk about, we reached already quite a while ago, which was to win first pilots over, first pilot customers. We actually did that completely from cold calling, no help whatsoever by connections, warm intros, because we really wanted to make sure that what we think is the problem is the right problem and somebody wants a solution to it, which hurts so badly that even cold calling can turn them into pilot partners, which are spending a significant amount of time in the beginning and later on probably money as well, but in the beginning especially time to develop a product which solves their pain points. We also have some more, maybe I actually do read them out. So signing some public funding, and I'll also make a video on how we think about spending founder time on resources such as public funding. We also thought about how to celebrate when we register our company officially, move into first real office, get the first revenue. That's, of course, a super big one. The first pilot using our product, also signing first angel money, getting the first employee, launching the alpha version of our product. So you see, it's also in the order of how we assume things will, like which milestone comes after which. Launch a sellable beta version of a product, and we got inspiration about the next milestone, the first love message from our customer by Creandum partner Beate Klein, who mentioned that on Twitter, and I think it's actually a great idea to celebrate customer love, because it's before you get revenue or even after you get revenue, engaged and happy customers can be a super strong signal for VCs. But of course, before it's a signal to VCs, it's an amazing signal to the people who are building the company currently. And then it rolls on into getting the first term sheet, VC money once it is in the bank, right? And some further specific milestones to us. And we set those milestones up, especially because we have talked to a lot of experienced founders, and we have seen that sometimes there is misalignment on when you actually go out to party and how, right? Maybe one person would love to go dancing in a club and the other is a complete introvert and doesn't want to do that. So we thought we try to learn from what other founders have gone through and try to make up how we are actually celebrating and when, so that there is a clear goal we are working towards, and we see how we are actually moving from line to line to line to line in reaching our goals. It's making us happy to see how we are progressing through each stages, because it makes the big steps very transparent and how we are moving throughout them and how long we actually need it. So you might want to add a time component, which I think is also very important when you're building a VC company. How quick do you actually get to certain steps? And of course, you can buy your way into certain steps quicker, which is why we consciously made the decision to only achieve steps with the work we have done, right? Like, we never paid somebody to do something. We never got a warm intro in the beginning to our customers, etc., so that we can be as certain as possible that we are solving the right problem with the right solution and are on track on that way. Regarding how you celebrate and how much you want to spend on it, I guess that's a very personal decision. For first goals, for example, we set up that we are just going to a nice restaurant and getting a good glass of wine to celebrate. But of course, that's something everybody can decide very individually. I think the most important part is to make that decision and stick to it, and also ensure that your OKRs or whatever kind of system to make sure that everybody is moving in the same direction is contributing towards moving you to the next step in your big milestones.